Congratulations, Al. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame, you are hereby inducted, and we are so proud of what you have accomplished in our county.
Thank you, Randy. I'm the kid from, now lives in Silver Creek, from Forestville. And all those bad things that Cindy was talking about happen on the golf course, I know how to do every one of them. Actually, about 25 years ago, when Cindy was teaching at the Springbrook Golf Shop, I went to her for a lesson. I was having trouble, the shanks crept into my game. Anybody that plays golf, you're not supposed to say that word, but it happened. In one lesson, Cindy turned my lousy game back to almost mediocre, like it was before I came. And I thank her for that. And Cindy, by the way, did you bring any extra business cards with you tonight? Because I got 3 people here, my son John, and I got a Sammy and an Angelo at that table back there. If you could give them a card, they really need to see you for some help, okay? Thanks to all the committee here for selecting me, and to Larry for submitting my name. Larry and I have been with the Jamestown Old Timers forever, and I'd like to just take a minute to speak about the Jamestown Old Timers. We're not just a bunch of old guys that get the privilege of going to Dietrich Park and playing in a very competitive league every week. Our main purpose is to support youth baseball, and every year through a fundraiser, and some of it out of our own pockets through players' fees, we donate approximately 100 dozen baseballs to youth leagues in Chautauqua County and northern Pennsylvania. We make a generous donation to the Jamestown Jammers Youth Clinic that they hold at Dietrich Park every year. And we also donate to the City of Jamestown's trophy program for underprivileged children. So it's a great thing to play old timers baseball and the competition that still goes on, but that's our main purpose. Just a few quick thank yous and a mention of some key moments in my life. My brother Jim never met a ball he didn't like. And growing up in Forestville, he introduced me to the basics of playing baseball, football, and basketball. Back in the 50s and 60s, there wasn't much to do in a small town except do those things. And he was the organizer of all the sandlot games that all the kids in town would play day after day from dawn till dusk. And I thank him for passing on his love of sports to me. Not surprisingly, a few years ago, he was inducted into the Western New York Softball Hall of Fame. He turned into a great softball pitcher. And there's probably some people here that faced him, and he was one of the best softball pitchers back in the heyday of fast-pitch softball in Chautauqua County. He passed away a few years ago, actually last year, I'm sorry, and my sister Sue is here tonight, and I know she misses him as I do. A coach by the name of Dick Paul arrived in Forestville, fortunately for me at the same time I arrived in high school, and Forestville hadn't had much success over the years. We'd never made it to the odd for the Section 6 basketball championships, and they'd never won a football championship. In 3 years in a row, my sophomore through senior years, Coach Paul led us to the finals. We were lucky to win 2 out of those 3. And in football, in just our 3rd year of 11-man football, some of you younger people won't believe this, but they used to play 6-man football at the smaller schools. And our junior and senior year, we won championships in our league football for the first time. I had the opportunity to play baseball in the Kansas City A's minor league system for 4 years. Kansas City was where the A's played before they moved to Oakland and got good. I was with them when they were lousy, but anyway, I was only in the minor leagues, but I was thankful for that opportunity. I had the privilege and the unique honor of playing with and pitching against many, many future major leaguers. If I had more time, I could go down a list that would surprise many of you. And as an 18 to 21-year-old, I got to see the country playing in minor leagues all over. And I learned a lot about the basics of pitching and how to play the game of baseball from the coaches and managers that I was with the A's back then. My daughter Allison and my son John are here tonight. I'd like to introduce them to you. My daughter Allison didn't get involved much in sports. She decided she wanted to be a glamour girl instead. Actually, she was clumsy. No, I'm only kidding. But my son John followed in my footsteps. He was a good baseball player, turned into a good hockey player, and I had the honor of coaching him and the joy of coaching him in both baseball and hockey. And then one step further, when we formed our Referees Association, became certified USA hockey officials, he also followed my footsteps there, and we have to eat a lot of hockey games together. So they're both here tonight, and I'm glad to. And also, my grandchildren are here, two of them, Carter and Charlotte, my daughter's children. They came up from Pittsburgh, and they're with us tonight. Now, my sons, two, the twins, that are not quite 5, Naomi and Ava. I don't think this club is ready yet to turn them loose in here, so we left them home tonight. It would, we'd be tough in this place. I mentioned the NCCYHA, which is the Northern Chautauqua County Youth Hockey Association. I was one of the founding members of that association and a member of the board of directors, coach, and as I mentioned, official for a lot of years. And what's gratifying is to see 30 years later that organization is still going strong as ever. And a lot of the kids that were 7 and 8 years old when we started that in the early to mid 80s are now coaching, refereeing, and are on the board of directors when I see the write-ups and the pictures in the paper. So that's very gratifying to know that we started something that's lasting and hopefully will continue to go on. I want to thank a gentleman by the name of Bob Bradigan. Larry mentioned briefly the Forestville Old Timers. I hadn't played baseball in about 10 years. I assumed my baseball playing days were over after several stints in the Great Belt League. And I never thought about trying to play against kids 20 years younger than me again. But I got a phone call from Bob, a former teammate in the Great Belt League with Forestville, inviting me to join a team of old timers that he was putting together to play at Jamestown. I didn't know who Jamestown was, but I joined up and we played for 2 or 3 years, and as soon as I turned 50, when I saw what the Jamestown Old Timers were about, I joined up, and 20 years later, I'm still doing it, and it's been great. I forgot to thank all my friends and teammates, and former teammates, current teammates, golf partners, all the guys I give money to on the Thursday morning skin games for showing up. You're not getting nothing tonight, don't worry, for showing up tonight. And again, I think I thank the committee, but after following Dan and Cindy, it's hard to try to talk up here. But just a few people that I want to mention that were special to me, that in addition to my brother that I mentioned has been gone for a year, that I'd like to mention. My longtime golf partner that was with me when I got my only hole-in-one, Frank Bulchetti. Bill Seeley with the Forestville Old Timers that was still playing Old Timers baseball just short of his 90th birthday. He would come to practice, even though he wasn't playing actively in the games anymore. He would come to practice and swing the bat and hit line drives all over the ballpark. Some old timers that are no longer with us with the Jamestown team, Eddie Russ, longtime manager Peter Norlander, and a good friend, Jimmy Shovlin, that I was a teammate with the Great Belt League, several teams down in Florida at the Roy Hobbs World Series with the Ohio Classics, who I still play with, down at Fort Myers every fall. And now a couple of very special people that were not only teammates and partners, but very special close friends. Mike Mckinnon was a dear friend for 15 years till he moved to Florida. He introduced me to playing hockey. He told me I'd be a good goalie because he liked shooting and scoring against me, I guess. And then many years we refereed together and traveled all over Chautauqua County refereeing youth and adult hockey games. He was also my sidekick going to many Buffalo Bills and Sabres games, countless games we went to. And for you people under 20 years old, there actually was a time when those teams were worth watching. And we used to go and have a good time. And finally, a gentleman by the name of Larry Youngberg, who was my first catcher in the Great Belt League when I was 14 years old in 1959. And he was my first catcher with Forestville when I started playing Old Timers ball again. And he stayed until his health wouldn't permit it anymore. but we were longtime friends. His thing was bowling in the winter, so he got me on a bowling team, and that was a good time. And I decided I'd introduce him to golfing. So I remembered some of the beginner's tips that I had seen Cindy give, and I got him out on the golf course, and he was doing pretty good. Until the one day when I had to tell him that, Larry, you don't have time to drive in the rough looking for mushrooms when there's 4 groups behind us that we're holding up. Just a farm guy from a small town, he wanted the mushrooms. I wouldn't be done unless I thank my wife, Patty, for being with me. She's been with me for most of the Jamestown Old Timers run. All the boring games, some were 60 degrees, some were 90 degrees, but she was there for most of it. Went to Florida with me to see the teams we had down there. I want to thank her for her love and support for being with me through it all. And again, a night I'll never expected, but I'll always remember. And I'm going to leave you with some words of wisdom that a teammate with the Old Timers told me. And you can substitute any word you want for baseball. You don't quit playing baseball because you've gotten old. You get old because you quit playing baseball. Thanks to everybody again.